Hey, welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us every Thursday for a discussion about the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals alongside Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I'm your three-time host, Marcus Stewart, and I've got a full house today. First and foremost, I've got the more time co-host, the king of the Hilliard, Kyle Hilliard. How you doing?
I think that's the first time in my life that someone has said that. King of the Hilliard. I'll take it. I like it.
Awesome. Well, you have to live with that now.
I have to live with it now. That's right.
Also joining us is the multiple time co-host, Charles. Don't break my heart.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how you keep this up. You've established a pattern now. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Blake.
Well, you know what? Let's keep the train running because well, it's okay because we've got the sometime other co-host, Blake Hester Skelter. It kind of sounds like
Hester Skelter.
Like, yeah,
you can't do that. You can't do that. Like I know the etymology of that is a Beatles song, but it is far too synonymous with Charles Manson for you to call me Helter Skelter at this point.
I would say I know what you're saying, right? But I think if we polled the world, I bet it's still the Beatles song you think of first over Charles Manson.
You are no one.
The Beatles are more famous than Charles.
No one has
Charles
been
Manson.
more incorrect than you at this moment, Marcus. The most famous.
I honestly.
One of the most famous crime books of all time is called Helter Skelter, about Charles Manson.
And one of the most famous songs of all time is Helter Skelter by the Beatles.
No. That's not even in the E tier of famous Beatles songs. We only know it because of Charles Manson, though it is one of the Beatles' better songs, if you ask me. But I don't really F with the Beatles.
Well, you know what, listeners? Let us know if you identify more with one of the greatest rock bands of all time or a horrible murderer who is
published a book.
Well, I think technically he didn't murder.
Decent musician, I guess.
No, I think famously he was a horrible musician. That was the whole thing about him, was he was a terrible musician.
I mean, of all the terrible things he did, musician's the least offensive.
Did y'all?
Hey,
I like it.
This is probably something only Kyle might have seen. Did you ever see Tim Armstrong's claymation Charles Manson movie? Well, Tim Armstrong produced it. I don't think he directed it, but the cast was like all the dudes from AFI and Good Charlotte and Green Day, and it was a musical claymation about the Charles Manson murders.
Definitely have not seen that. At first, I was like, this kind of sounds familiar, but as the further you went down your paragraph of words, I was like, I do not know what this is.
It's called, this is the last thing I'll say about it, then I'll shut up. It's called Live Freaky, Die Freaky. It's got a pretty good soundtrack because it's a musical, and it's just like all those old like mall punk dudes singing songs, but definitely one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Run, don't walk, live freaky, die freaky. Is it?
Yeah, dude.
Find it on streaming. Made $11,000 at the box office.
There's a song with one of the ladies from the Go-Go's that's really good. I can't remember the name of it though. I'll look it up while we're doing other things.
I'm just glad I didn't get introduced as Charles Manson Harte.
You know, we would have just totally bypassed that, Charles, unless now you've brought it up. We never would have.
Yeah, you'd really have to.
Well, it's
you would
never
have to mess up pretty bad for that.
Oh, the Creepy Crawl song. That's the one. That song is so good, dude.
All right.
Shouts out to Tim Armstrong, I guess, friend of the show.
Gosh. We're already off to an unhinged start, folks. But, you can't blame us because I think all of us here are pretty tired. We're coming off of a very eventful, very busy weekend watching roughly 27 different video game showcases, I think was the count that I got. We wrote up a bunch of news stories. We were delighted. We were disappointed. We were enthralled. We were let down. We felt everything, right? We felt every emotion on the spectrum was touched in some way throughout all of these showcases. And that's what we're going to be talking about on this episode, is just going over everything that happened and just giving our thoughts, just recapping, talking about the things that made us the happiest.
Well, I was gonna say, where did we leave off, Marcus? Did we talk about PlayStation last week? And
we talked about Summer Games Fest, you and I,
okay.
Specifically the Jeff Keighley event. So we've covered that. But Blake and Charles, feel free to shout out anything from there that maybe stood out to you that we haven't heard your thoughts on. But we're going to be talking about the probably the big one is the Microsoft Xbox Showcase / Starfield Direct that was attached to it.
Right.
There was also stuff like the PC Gaming Show. There was the Future Game Show. There was the Wholesome Games Direct. There was, God, it's the
Day of the
Future.
Devs. Was another good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Capcom,
a lot of stuff.
and then Ubisoft. Right.
Yeah. No shortage of live streams sharing new video games. First and foremost, how are you guys feeling? We technically have more showcases to come, more publisher specific. Like we have RGG has one coming up. We have Grasshopper announced recently. They were doing one for the first time. And then at the tail end of the month, the one that I'm probably most excited for in terms of the ones that are left is the Annapurna showcase. That's on the 29th. But I'd say that even with those, we're pretty much out of Summer Games Fest sort of like blast radius like proper now. So now that we're clear of that, overall, what are you guys feeling? Do you feel good about what you've seen? What were your favorite showcases? Like, just in general, how are you feeling in this this year's video game Christmas, as it's become known as?
Well, it does feel like Christmas is back after being gone for a while, a couple years there. It's not called E3. E3 did not occur, but it felt like E3 to me. It felt closer to E3 than it has in a long time, which made me happy, honestly. I like that season of game stuff. It's always exciting.
I think it was exciting. I think it was an interesting vibe this year because I don't know, maybe this is just my own perception of it, but I feel like so much of the stuff we heard about this year is so far out. Like, there's not a lot. I remember, like, the Xbox Showcase specifically, it was, like, a lot of 2024, a lot of, like, distant things. I don't feel like the back end of the year was filled in a ton. And I don't necessarily think that was, like, a bad thing, because I feel like we already have so many good games coming this year, but it felt a lot more like in the distance, in the future. Not like release dates, but like release years type of thing.
Yeah. For the Microsoft one specifically, maybe it's telling that they didn't do what they did last year, where they were like, hey, this batch of games we're showing, it's all coming out within the next calendar year.
Yeah. They'll never make that mistake again.
Because that fell apart real quick. Blake, what about you?
There are, like, plenty of games I'm excited about. I think in general, these kind of shows just, like, do little for me, Like, not to be a party pooper. I just, like, the older I get and the longer I've worked as someone covering these, like, unchecked kind of hype reels, like, just are very, like, cynical to me, and it doesn't mean I don't leave, like, seeing, like, oh, I'm excited for, like, 5 games out of that thing. I just don't really like the delivery of them, where it's just like, hey, some suit is going to talk to you for an hour about how Starfield's the most important game ever made, and it's like, that's a pretty real quote, and it's like, your game's not out, dude. It could suck dog crap, It's like, so I think, like, I always have that kind of cynicism in the back of my brain when I'm watching these things. It's like, it's just like the Super Bowl for a week in video game terms. But that said,
you got to filter the hyperbole, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That said, as I was looking back through the announcements, I was like, oh man, there's actually, like, way more that I'm excited for than I initially thought. Like, I had forgot about some of the announcements, and I tell you what, gamers eating good.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway maybe for this year was that I ultimately didn't miss E3.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't like, it feels like this gaping void of the summer. If only E3 was here. It was kind of like, honestly, I kind of forgot about it until occasionally people brought it up of like, here's all the non-E3, news or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess this was the time formerly known as the Electronic Entertainment Expo.
I mean, that's the big thing I miss, is having an umbrella to just refer to it.
Yeah.
Because like
Right.
I was writing a headline or something or a tweet or for Game Informer where I was just like, our favorite game of the last week. I don't know what to call it. It's not Summer Game Fest after a certain point. It's not fair to refer to everything as Summer Game Fest, but
But in some ways, it does feel nicer that it's like a little more truncated, you know. In like years past, like there was really, even for the home team, you know, that wasn't at the event, it always felt like there was no off button for it. It's just like, I remember being an intern and be like at Game Informer, and we were covering that for the home team, and it'd be like you write all the news and then you're just kind of around all day to help out. And with this one, it'd be like, all right, so the Xbox event is done. Sucks to be in LA for everyone who has to keep working. Sorry about your luck, but I'm going to go live my life now. And I did kind of enjoy that it was a little more segmented in that way to give some breaks, you know?
Sure.
But that's like how sausage is made type stuff. That doesn't affect the audience.
It kind of lets you. It's weird. Like I honestly am forgetting the last time I got to watch any of these as just like a normal citizen, I guess. But like, I wonder if it's like easier now to sort of like pick and choose the things you want to watch because everything's so divided. Of like, oh, this is a publisher specific show, or a console specific. Whereas like E3 was all, for the most part, like, you know, there were still the individual press conferences, but there aren't as many. There was less then than there are now. So does it make it easier to sort of filter like, well, I don't really care about RGG, so I'm not going to watch that, or I don't like indie games, so I'm not going to watch Wholesome or whatever. Like, you can kind of like,
maybe I don't need to tune in for Capcom. You know, who knows?
Despite what they told me,
no way of knowing.
Turns out we could.
As I said before recording, that was the best one of the week because I didn't have to write anything. It was awesome. Yeah.
I mean, that Capcom. I mean, we're just real quick. We're just gonna say the Capcom thing was a bust, and I think we're all in agreement there. And maybe that's the dark side of this sort of like a la carte approach to showcases of like everyone has to do one, where maybe there's a mentality like, well, everyone else is doing one, we have to do one too because Suda 51's doing one now. Where's ours? And it's like, if you don't have anything real to show, like,
hey, maybe
Capcom,
maybe you just tweet out that Pragmata trailer. You know, maybe that's all we need.
Heartbreaking, like geared to make you disappointed.
Also,
like, honestly, that was the most exciting news, and exciting is in quotations.
Also, Marcus, Alucard is Konami, not Capcom.
Thank you.
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
Going into that Capcom showcase, I was like, to be honest, I know it's kind of unpopular, but the only franchise I really care about Capcom-wise is Ace Attorney. And I got everything. Shu Takumi, I think is his name. He directed Ace Attorney. There's this port that's coming. That's great. And I get all these Apollo Justice games on my Switch. Like, that was literally all I wanted. But that was all that really happened. So
right after a bunch of us bought them on the 3DS store before they shut that thing down, they were like, hey, we're going to remaster these for you in one bundle. Like, that would have been nice to know a few months ago, but you know.
But to circle back to maybe a more positive edge, like I think Xbox really surprised me. Like, I was like, there's a lot of cool stuff here. I didn't expect this to be so like, I don't know, full of interesting stuff. The Xbox ended up being probably my favorite one.
Yeah, there was a lot of that world premiere voiceover in the Xbox one, which was exciting. There was, this was the one where, even though a lot of those games are like a year out pretty much at the minimum, it was kind of nice to hear from some of their, you know, development studios like, oh, this is what Compulsion's been up to this whole time, and hey, Fable's back and all that
Fable
good stuff.
exists. Like, that was like the big thing for me. It's like, we're still working on Fable. We promise.
Hey,
here's proof.
I've never played a Fable game, but that Fable trailer was really good. I was really into that. I was stoked. I don't know who that guy was that everyone was stoked about, but he was funny.
Richard Iota. Yeah, he's a famous, like, he's one of those comedians that, despite being very funny, has never really broken out of Great Britain.
Yeah.
Like, he's been in a couple of American films, but like they're always like weird flops that have nothing to do with him. You know, he's just like, guys, I'm trying to be in some American entertainment, but it's just not working. I don't know what to tell you. But he's always really funny.
He has to follow the tried and true method of, like, if you want to be a small-time British actor and make it in the Western market, you gotta play a superhero.
Right.
It's just it. So maybe he can be, I don't know, Static Shock.
And he did some voice work in some Pixar movies, but
I don't
yeah.
want to be Static Shock.
You know?
You don't want a nerdy British guy with a nasally
that's-
voice to be Static Shock.
There's at least
Hold on.
a dozen people that would be a better.
Hold on now. I've seen something he's done. He directed the music video for Vampire Weekend for their Oxford Comma song. I've seen that music video. That's a
There you
good
go.
thing.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
directed a movie called Submarine. I think that was well liked as well. I haven't seen
Yeah.
it. But,
He also
Is
did. He also did Heads Will Roll by Yeah Yeah Yeahs. This dude's prolific.
oh, that's a cool video. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Is he in Fable, or is he just for that trailer? Like, did they say like, oh, he's in the game as a character, or
That'd be
was that
so
just a
funny if
celebrity
he-
thing for that?
I mean,
He
I thought it
wasn't
was all.
in it.
My assumption is that's like in game. Like maybe that's not a cutscene, but I
Yeah.
imagine that's what the game will look like. I don't think that was pre-rendered. Maybe like the shots of him as the giant, like chasing, the player character looked like it could almost be gameplay. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would imagine he is one of many characters that appears, and it's not like you're talking to him all the time, but maybe you have some quests related to him or something.
Yeah.
which would be cool.
Okay.
It also had like actually good comedic writing for a video game. It wasn't like funny for a video game. It was like, this is genuinely good writing. Like that was shocking for
Yeah.
me. Like to be like, wow, this feels like someone who has experience writing humor, not has just been thrown into it.
Hey, maybe Richard Iota's a writer on it. We don't know yet.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, I wonder.
That'd be like Fable's just his game. This is
Yeah,
his platform.
I'll take
to get
it,
bigger.
please.
That's
Yeah.
what I've been waiting for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, since we're on Fable, this brings up our wager that we made a couple of weeks ago. Blake, you weren't there, but
Right.
the three of us, we had a little bet where we made predictions for all these showcases about what would appear, and we had the stipulation where the loser will have to, on this very podcast, perform one of Charles's lunchtime songs.
That rules.
And Kyle, I believe you've tallied the results.
Yeah, I mean, we can go through them pretty quickly, actually, like if we want to. Let's see. I'm trying to look through. We'll do Charles's first. So, trailer for a new Fortnite season, Transformers. That happened. But that was like, come on, man. That was like cheating. That was like,
Okay,
You get
in my
half a
defense,
point.
I think I was like one of my first or second guesses. I didn't know how fun it
yeah.
was gonna be, or I thought
Give
you
him
guys
the
would
point.
guess better stuff. I guess.
Give him the point.
We thought you guys would play it safer.
so we had a celebrity appearance. And Charles, you put your money down on Idris Elba, but it ended up being Nicolas
Oh,
Cage
right.
and Keanu Reeves. So
Yeah.
Duh.
yeah. Lizzo performs on Just Dance stage. I like that one. That was really shooting for the stars. It did not happen. Avowed gameplay trailer. We saw that, right?
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
So that's like two out of, was that 4? Basically? Yeah. Okay, and then Marcus, we'll see Fable again, which we did. Which, to be fair, I had on my list, but I took off my list when you elected to make that your first prediction. Blake, you
Bad
had a
move.
question from the
No,
class.
no, I'm just counting.
Oh, you're just counting. Thank you. Tekken 8 release date. We did
Ooh,
not
rough.
get, right?
No.
We got a beta announcement, but not a release date. November 10th was we really went all
That was a
in.
bonus point.
Yeah, we were like really
Yeah, that was a bonus point. It wasn't going to count.
Skull and Bones release date, and then bonus point. It was going to be available now, which we did not get that. We got
That
a
would've
beta upcoming
We got a
beta.
beta.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would got the least likely thing of having a whole song and dance about that game.
I know. Why didn't you
Than just
predict that?
saying, hey, it's coming out.
And then your last one was Ken Levine at Summer Game Fest showing Judas, and we got no Judas whatsoever. That was
Thank God.
Yeah. All right. So and then here's
So 1 point for me.
1 point for you. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Charles's Hail Mary was Super Mario Odyssey 2. Marcus, your Hail Mary was Metroid Prime 4, which those were very much
Yeah.
like they were Nintendo related, which we didn't
Yeah, it was
really know.
predicated on the idea that Nintendo, which they could still do,
They could still
would
have
announce
something,
a summer direct. Yeah.
Right.
All right, now me, which spoiler alert, I didn't get any, so I think I'm the loser here. Haze Light announcement, and it's another local co-op game. I felt pretty good about that one. I
That was
really
a
thought
good
we were
guess.
gonna get
Yeah.
with that one. Death Stranding 2 gets an official title. Nope, that didn't
It already
happen.
did.
No, it's not official.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
It's a sequel to the Breath of the Wild situation.
Yeah.
It's going to be called Death Stranding 2. I don't know what else it would be called, but
I remember when they announced that, it was so confusing because within 1 hour they had called it 3 different things and none were the actual name, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing, dude?" But he's an artist. You can't criticize that. He's an artist.
no, he knows what he's doing. He's not Tor.
Yeah.
He's got a movie.
That's right.
He's got.
That trailer was unbelievable.
That's good.
Just
Okay, and then Splinter Cell remake trailer with gameplay at Ubisoft.
oh,
Which again, I really thought that was
Yeah.
like I thought that was
Yeah.
a solid bet. And
Yeah.
then
What's going on with that thing?
I don't know. I would have loved to have learned on Monday.
didn't they only announce it like a year ago, and they're like, it's super early.
It was like 2 years, right?
right.
It was wasn't it 2021?
It takes a long time
Was
to
it
make
last year?
video games. It takes a long time.
I
to
think it
make
was like
them,
2
you know?
years. I remember I was looking into it for like a potential coverage thing, and there
Yeah.
was just it was like a 40-minute video of all the people working on it. They're like, "Yeah, we're working on this game. It's gonna have mechanics and characters, and you guys are gonna love it." This is some
Mechanics
concept art, and it's just like, yeah, it's like that's what Splinter Cell looks like. Someone
I know.
painted Splinter Cell.
For a little behind the scenes, Charles like wrote up that preview and which I had assigned to him, and then we were looking over it and we're like, hold on. There's no screenshots for this thing don't exist, and we had to like cut it out of the magazine because I'm so sorry, Charles, but I
No,
thought
it's
there were at least
fine.
screenshots.
I was so new. I was like, man, I don't think this is worth a preview, but I'll write up this thing. It's like
Marcus,
Splinter
you
Cell
think we put-
remake
we
will
should've put-
feature characters and mechanics coming sometime in the future.
Coming
Charles-
The screenshots from the original with a disclaimer that says not the remake.
Charles, don't feel bad. I've been here almost 3 years, and I think that all the time.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right, so and then my
It's
last
not
one
true. It's not true.
was Final Fantasy Remake is coming to Xbox. And it was going to be a right now on Game Pass thing, which again, again, these were all ones I felt like pretty good about, but we got
yeah.
a trailer for Rebirth, which
Right.
I did not think we were going to get that.
Yeah.
So, and then my Hail Mary was details on Tears of the Kingdom DLC. So, I'm 0. I got nothing.
Wah, wah, wah.
So
So-
I will be on vacation next week, but the following week, pending any issues for me not being on the podcast, I'll prepare a song based on
Oh,
one of Charles'
well-
photo
Now, does
parodies.
Charles pick the song,
I was
or
gonna say the
you
conditions
pick
are
the song?
the winner picks the song that the loser has to sing.
Oh, okay. So I think
Oh.
you're the winner then, Charles, because you got 2 and Marcus got 1. So you
Yes.
have to pick the song for me to sing.
How fitting.
Should I announce it now? Because I'm pretty sure I know exactly which song I want you to sing.
I mean, if you
been
know,
thinking
go
about
for it.
this.
All right, yeah.
I would think it would be really funny if you would sing my "Escape the City" parody from Sonic.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if I know that song. I guess I got.
Okay, we can do a different one. We can talk
No,
about
no,
it.
no.
You wanted to sing "Lump," and I was like, "That's good." It's just really short, and I feel like it's not really it doesn't feel like a
not enough
loss.
of-
You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm not singing like a whole song, right? It's just
Right,
Like a
no.
verse,
Is it
right?
3 minutes long?
Oh, God.
I have often been like, I'll do like one chorus parody, and I'm like, this doesn't feel like I did the song. I don't know if I should do more, more of the thing.
Yeah, we're all
And
holding
then-
you to the fire, man. We're all.
yeah, no one has ever been like, Charles, where's your lunch song? Or like,
Yeah,
Charles,
you're
that
gonna
lunch song
post one
was
day. You're gonna be
pretty
like,
long."
Charles, this one's not as good as the other ones. I hate.
We're gonna start putting me messages like, "Man, Charles really falling off."
When I started, every time Alex would reply and be like, "This is garbage. I hate
don't-
this so much."
I don't understand. Alex is such like a nice, kind man, and every time he would do that, it would feel so out of character for him. I'd be like, what the hell,
It's
dude?
so funny. It's just the thing of like someone will make a pun and someone will be like, "That's terrible," and it's like, no, it's pretty good. I just think you're like caught off guard by, like, there's just the whole group of like every time you make some kind of pun, they're like, ugh, that's groan inducing. It's like sometimes puns are actually pretty funny, so maybe calm down.
Maybe you're
The
wrong.
secret,
You know,
the-
it's gonna be even funnier hearing Kyle sing all of these puns and
Yeah.
rhymes. You're gonna be spending your vacation rehearsing this? Is what I understand, Kyle?
I took the week off in expectation of having to prepare. Yeah.
Okay.
months ago when I put in that request.
Kyle's putting it in. He's like, I'm gonna lose so bad. I'm gonna say Splinter Cell's gonna show up.
It's like I gotta go practice with a choir, get the vocal cords warmed up.
Dude, it'd be so cool if you came back with like a fully ass produced song. That'd be so sick. Like, hit me up, dude. Let's collab.
Just shot a music
Let's
video
collab.
while you were gone.
Do a cover.
Yeah, dude. I could play Escape from the City, no problem.
I mean, Kyle, you can do this any way you want to do it. I mean, we never said how you got to sing the song. As long as you sing the song,
is
you
it
know, if you wanna...
Sonic 2?
I think it's
Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say that, but then I have never played that game.
Is that the one that goes like moving around at the
Yes.
speed
Yeah.
of sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Except this one is
Oh, this
looking
has got
around
some-
for something to chow.
Oh, that's good. And that's
All
a
right,
double
I got
pun.
it.
That's a double pun. That's a double pun because of the characters in the Sonic Adventure games, the Chows.
Oh my
CHAU.
Oh my gosh!
CHAO.
Oh, CHAO, excuse me.
I'm
Yeah.
so smart, Blake. Holy cow!
That's right. It's definitely you who figured that out and not me.
Yeah.
The person who wrote it.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll
you.
be ready next week. Or, like I said, unless I'm like not on next week for some reason.
Alrighty, well, stay tuned for that, everyone. Looking forward to it, Kyle. You're gonna kill it, break 2 legs, all that
Kill
good stuff.
something.
And yeah, at this point, I would like for all of us to take turns going around the horn and just sort of sharing a game or even just an announcement, even if it's not tied to a single game, from whatever showcase you liked that excited you the most. So I think I'll kick things off. This was a brand new IP that came out of nowhere. I think this was the Xbox showcase. Clockwork Revolution, which is by In Exile, who does the Wasteland series and A Bard's Tale, series that I've never touched. I don't think I played any of their games, but I think this is going to be my first one because when that trailer started, I was like, man, is that like a BioShock Infinite remaster? Like remaster? Because it looks like BioShock Infinite is basically the point. It's like a big open world third-person action RPG where it's in this steam-powered city, and it's got a time-traveling plot where you play as this woman who accidentally finds out that the town's entire history was carefully crafted by the villain. I forget her name. It's like Lady Ironwood, who runs the town and apparently is like the lower class, crushing them down and oppressing them. And apparently she achieved this by just going back in time and just changing certain events so that everything worked out in her favor. So you spend the game going in a time machine and going back in time to different points to basically try to undo the things that she did. But then apparently the gameplay loop is that you're going to be jumping back and forth from past to present. And then every time you come back to the present, it is completely changed based on how you tinkered with the past. So you'll meet like new versions of characters that you've already met, who I guess maybe they don't recognize you, or maybe they were nice before, but maybe now they're mean because you did something. Like, it's pretty much just playing with like a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
But it looks super cool, and that premise is fascinating. And yeah, this was one where I was like, my eyebrows rose as I was watching it. I'm like, ooh, like this looks neat. Did this trailer do anything for you guys? Or am I the only one that's like, hell yeah, Clockwork Revolution?
Blake.
No. Nope.
No,
I was gonna say,
no.
Blake shook his head, and I was like, oh.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just not into that BioShock stuff.
Sure.
Not for
Yeah,
me.
I think it's one of those, considering the developer, I think it, like, in trailer, it looks kind of BioShocky Infinite, right? But I wonder,
Yeah.
I think, and I'm making a prediction here based on very little, that just on the sort of reputation of the developer, I bet the final game is going to feel pretty distinct.
Now that would, yeah, hopefully.
They showed like in gameplay, like, it's first person, you're using powers. It looks like outside of shooting like steam powered guns, you have like time powers. Like they showed like a bridge or something collapsing, and then you use like time powers to rewind and fix it, like stuff like that. So I guess that'll be the crutch of it. I don't know, especially because I don't know. Like Wasteland, which is probably the series they're most known for, is like a top down strategy or like RPG, right? Those games.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is something different for them, I guess. I mean, potentially, and the Bard's Tale games or third-person games, but it's been a while since we have one of those. But I don't know. That thing looks cool.
Yeah, I think
And
it
that
looks
comes out-
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and that does not have a release window.
Due
so-
time is what they said.
Yes. Hopefully we'll... Oh, I just realized that was like... maybe not a pun, but like time travel.
Oh, I thought it was more just
due
like
time,
the
yeah.
era, right? That's just how they spoke. It'll be released in due time. I don't know.
It could be. Hey, it
I
could
mean,
be both.
I say that now.
I just found out you can do puns 2 ways, and that's crazy.
It's like a
Right.
Clockwork Revolution in Charles's head.
Yeah, you're gonna have
That was one way. That was
you're gonna have pun with that one later. I tell you what.
no. That's one I'll boo because that was weird.
The fine line.
All right.
Well, Blake, we'll see if we'll boo whatever game is exciting you most. What have you
Nah,
got?
you won't, cause I'm stoked for Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his freaking name.
What a mouthful of a
Yeah,
title.
definitely one of the worst names of the show.
You need to erase that name, am I right?
Yeah. So they announced this last year at the RGG Summit. That
Right.
noticeably,
Which I was at.
yeah, noticeably,
I was there
Marcus, we were
live.
not invited back this year. Interesting. Yeah, no, I think it's cool. Like, it seems to be like RGG Studios, Ryuga Gotoku, not acronymed, bounce back and forth at this point between 2 different gameplay styles. It was, they've gone turn-based with the main series, now called the Like a Dragon series, but historically the Yakuza series. And then in the Judgment games, they were keeping the brawler stuff that they had done through Yakuza 1 through 6.
Right.
Judgment is in this weird place. No one's entirely sure if it's going to continue. It seems like maybe they're setting it up to continue with a different character, but neither here nor there. This game is really cool to me because it fills in the gaps between Yakuza 6 and Yakuza 7 and tells the story of what Kiryu, who was the longtime series protagonist, was up to. Spoiler alert. In Yakuza 6, Kiryu faked his own death. And then in Yakuza 7, he shows back up, and it's very confusing because, like, at the end of Yakuza 6, he's like, I'm out. See you idiots later. And then he's back in Yakuza 7. So the idea of filling that back in, filling that story in, is very interesting to me. I love those games more than life itself. Without them, I would probably die. So any excuse to play more. Also, maybe a controversial take. I don't know. I prefer the brawler stuff. Like, the turn-based is fine, but I like the brawler stuff. So being able to be my big, lovable teddy bear Kiryu again, beating the holy hell out of half of Japan, I can't freaking wait, man. Love it.
I hope that game is just Kiryu hanging out with Elvis and Tupac and Andy Kaufman, everyone that's
Disney.
ever been.
Yeah.
Like he found a club where all the death fakers hang out, and then he decides, like, actually, I need to go be in this.
Yeah.
I got to go back to Kamurocho, guys. It's been real. But
Well,
I gotta
that's
go.
going to be interesting, right? Is like, where is this game going to take place? And I know they've showed Sotenbori, which is like based on a district in Osaka, but it's like Kiryu's home base was Kamurocho, so it's like, if he's faking his death, can he go back there? Can he show his face there right now? Are you gonna see Majima and all these dudes? Because, like, as far as they know, as far as I remember in Yakuza 6, which came out 35 years ago, I feel like no one knew he faked his death until he was back. But Yakuza 7, as I've said, shines some interesting holes in that theory. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where the game's going to take place. Maybe they're going to send him to Minneapolis.
So this one you're more excited for than, was it Infinite Wealth? Is what has a name now.
Yeah,
Which was like
yeah.
a Dragon 8. Yeah, no.
Just because of the combat, you just prefer the.
No,
the action
I mean,
combat.
spoilers. Infinite Wealth is the next game I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
But I think this game is such a question mark for me that I'm more interested in it, just because
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
makes
I want to know what the hell's going on here. But circle back to me in like 5 minutes, and we're going to talk about Infinite Wealth a little bit.
Awesome. Charles, what about you?
Yeah, the game that stood out to me like days after was during Day of the Devs. The people that made Chicory announced they're making a game called Beastie Ball, and it's like Pokemon, except the Pokemon play volleyball.
Yeah.
And I was excited for it, and then I found out they put a demo out yesterday, and so then I played the
Oh, did
demo.
they?
Yeah. It only took me like half an hour. It's very quick, but it kind of just explains the basics of the game. But it's really interesting. It's like, so there's a volleyball court, right? So there's 2 lanes. There's 2 people on either, or 2 beasties on either side, and you can go up towards the net or backwards, farther away from the net. And if you're closer to the net, you'll deal more damage, but you also take more damage. And then if you're back, then obviously you're farther back. And then there's different like abilities you can have that like alter your position, or also like will do stuff, or like you can't block if you're in the back, for example, but if you're in the front, you can block. And then there's also this thing of like, if you knock out one of the opposing beasties, you win. But also if you score a point on them, so if they're not in one of the lanes and you hit it there, you also win. So there's like a mixture of like RPG mechanics of like, I'm going to do the most damage and take this guy out, versus, oh, if I can move them into the right spot, I can hit the ball there, and then it doesn't matter what level they are or how much health they have, because then I get a point. And it was really cool. And it's it was a good quick demo. I'm excited to play the whole thing. It's got music by Lena Raine, who did Celeste, and she rocks. And the like first town, it starts off and it's like classic like Game Boy Pokemon first town, and then like halfway in the second bar, like all the modern production elements come in, and I was like, I don't know, I really can't express the joy that came over me, where it was like, I was gonna try to sing it just now, but that wouldn't do it justice. So you
gotta lose a bet to do that.
You should play it or listen to the soundtrack, which I think is on Bandcamp. Probably she does that. Anyways, nice. Yeah, Beastie Ball.
Were you able to get a sense of the writing in the demo? Because I adore Chicory. Like, it was in my top 10. God, 2 years ago now. The game, time flies. And I remember playing the game and just, you know, like you're thinking like, oh, it's a fun coloring game. It should be neat. And then when the writing really gets going, you're like, oh, this is a much this is a much deeper game than I realized. And there were multiple points where the writing really got to me. Did you get a sense of any of that here? Like, I'm wondering, is this going to be like another surprise where there's more to the narrative than you might think?
Well, it's definitely like, so far it didn't, but I think if it does, it should be later. Like, I think kind of that's part of the appeal of Chicory too, of like it hits you eventually, but like at the start it's like leaning on its like cutesy gameplay. This one, it very much felt like a take on Pokemon, where so like they're coaches instead of trainers, and you're in a town, and like the head coach is this old guy named Red with 2 D's. And Red used to be a really great coach in the league, but now he's not anymore. And he looks like Red from Pokemon, except he's got like scruffy facial hair, and his like belly's poking out from under his shirt.
This is sad Red.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't get like emotional beats, but it's also like the beasties are like have like individual personalities in a way that like it didn't happen for me, but I know if you have 2 beasties playing together for long enough, then they'll develop a relationship that will give them like different abilities. So they could be like rivals or besties or whatever, and then that'll do stuff. So there are times where you're like talking to them and I'm like, oh, this doesn't just feel like Pikachu saying Pika Pika. This is like my brash beastie that's making fun of this beast. In the locker room, my one beastie was trash talking the other team. I was like, oh, didn't know you could do that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm psyched for it. I need to check out that demo. I assume it's Steam Next Fest, which is I think going on now. I need to download that.
Is there like do they have like a release window for that? Is that this year? Have they said?
It's next year, I think.
It's technically on, I have it pulled up here. So when they launched it, they technically launched a Kickstarter at the same time.
Okay.
But last I checked, right now it's like $3,000 short of its goal. So it's almost certainly going to hit that. And I think it says it's just coming 2024. I don't think there's a window, but
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Beastie Ball. Kyle, what about you?
Yeah, maybe it's an obvious one, but it surprised me because I have been just not interested in Starfield up to this point.
Yes, sir.
Bethesda has always been kind of like I admire them. I understand why people like Skyrim, but it's just never really clicked with me, right? And that's how I felt about Starfield since announcement, where I'm like, oh yeah, no, cool. Bethesda RPGs are great. I don't know if I'm really gonna play this one, but seeing the trailer and like watching a lot of gameplay of it I was surprised to find myself thinking like, oh, I want to play this. Like this seems really cool. Like I think the thing that really finally like got it for me was like, okay, you can build a ship, that's cool, but then you can just sort of run around and like fight other people and take out their ship and board their ship and steal all their stuff and take their ship and like put it into your garage of ships. And I was like, that seems cool, just sort of running around space and picking fights with people and just taking all their stuff, just being a space pirate, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, it is very, pie in the sky. Who knows if they'll be able to achieve what they're trying to set out to achieve. But the idea of sort of being given a galaxy and kind of deciding how you want to approach it is interesting. It's something that like No Man's Sky offers a similar promise that just never worked for me. I want more of like a story with characters and things like that, which Starfield is going to have. If it'll be good, we'll see. But there will at least be a carrot there to follow, as opposed to No Man's Sky, which is very self-directed, which just doesn't really click for me. But for all those reasons, and just like it looks a lot better, the gunplay looks a lot better, all those things, Starfield surprised me. Maybe it shouldn't have, but it surprised me as being one that's like, oh, I'm excited for Starfield now. I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I need to go back and rewatch the Starfield stuff.
It's 45 minutes, man. It's a lot.
Well, I didn't really get to see enough because I was writing, because I think I had the last announcement, because I was like, Final Fantasy was like the last thing, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and I had to write that, so I was like heads down doing that when the Starfield Direct started. So I only looked up every now and like the thing I remember most was seeing the like reference to the obsessed fan from Oblivion.
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh, okay, that's pretty good.
Well, even that was fun because that's a trait, right? You can elect to have an obsessed fan, and then one of the other traits that I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea, is like you can choose to be a character that sends money home to your parents. And what that does is that means your parents exist, and you can like go and visit them and like meet them and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, it's weird that selecting a trait like that adds such a substantial thing to the game. Like I think that's cool.
So wait, you can't visit your parents if you don't send them money. Like you have to.
I mean, maybe. I guess it's just the idea that like if you don't choose that trait, maybe you're just more of a mercenary who doesn't have contact with their family. But if you choose a trait that does have contact with their family, the family has to exist, and you can go visit them because it's such a free-form, open game.
Okay, I was going to be the other trait where you're constantly asking your parents for money. Like, you're going to see them to be like, guys, please, can I get...
Show up with your laundry and be like, hey, I need some stuff here.
I could crash here for a night or 3
or forever.
I feel like I try to keep my expectations in check on games, but like, I don't know, Starfield feels like one that I feel safe in being like confident that it's going to be great because Todd Howard told me it's one of the most important games ever made.
Yeah, he was really confident. He was super adamant.
Real thing he gets to decide and say before his game's out. Just how that works.
That was maybe the worst offender, Blake, for like that sort of like, look, we're doing something really special here. It's like, all right, guys, just show me the mechanics. I just want to know how this thing works.
There was a really good Kotaku article by Ken Shepard this morning about him, Todd Howard. I think it was Todd Howard. One of those guys said it. And you should go read
Todd
that
Howard
article.
actually
It's really good.
wasn't in it a ton. He like introduced it, and then he showed their collector's edition watch, and then he did the conclusion. But for the most part, it was other members of the development team, which was nice to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, my next one is where I have a list. I'm trying to curate it. I'm gonna go with Star Wars Outlaws, just because finally I have a Star Wars game, like a big AAA open world Star Wars game, where you don't have a lightsaber. And you're not a Jedi. I know that's like the main appeal and fantasy of Star Wars games, and that's great. But like, I'm at the point, and I have been at this point for a long time with Star Wars media, where it's like, I would like a story where you just like are literally anything else except for like a Force user, because there's so much more out there. It's one of the reasons why I love The Mandalorian so much. And so like, finally getting a game where you're like a bounty hunter scoundrel like character, especially after 1313 got canceled forever ago. And you're like, okay, now we're back to that where I just give me a blaster and some like shady characters that I kind of have to schmooze with, and you can kind of like, because they're saying like, oh, you're making choices, but not everything's black and white, that kind of thing. And just give me a cool ship where I can kind of do what you like to do, Kyle. Like, hey, can I just go and just be like a dick to people if I want to? And also, it's funny because like it's also doing a No Man's Sky thing where it looked like in the trailer that you can just transfer seamlessly from like a planet to space and just immediately get into a space fight, which is cool. But yeah, it's like, especially coming off of Jedi Survivor, which is a game I really, really liked. But like this feels refreshing because I think if it was just another like lightsaber game, it'd be like, oh, this just looks like Jedi Survivor. Like we just got this kind of game, So I think that's enough of a change to where like, all right, I'm cool. Character seems cool. I always chuckle now at the Disneyfication of Star Wars, and granted, Star Wars was doing this a bit before, but ever since Disney bought them, it's like every protagonist has to have a cute sidekick. You need a money-making merch machine, whether it's Baby Yoda or BB-1, and now we got, what's this thing called?
Nix,
like
a little axolotl cat thing,
finger head thing. Yeah.
It's cute.
By the way, Charles, I think you might have been the one that wrote the story, but did you call Nix the cutest character in Star Wars history?
No, I think I called Nix the cutest thing in the whole universe. To be more
I'm sorry.
It honestly started, and it's weird. I don't usually have that reaction to stuff. I'm not I don't find myself being like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. I love it, and I want a stuffed thing of it. Something about Nix is just like, I really liked that it was like, you can command Nix to do stuff. Like you see in the trailer where Kay is like, go grab me that gun, or like, go press this switch, where it like is also a gameplay mechanic. But even prior to that, just seeing Nix pick that thing up off the table with its mouth. Maybe it's because I own cats now. I don't know.
It's a good design. It is a cute design.
Could I?
A little Nix hat.
Can I talk?
Please.
Dude,
the floor is yours.
Something this game, I assume, does, at least the trailer did, that I thought was so cool, was it has the cinematic black bars that movies have. And it was so wild that this showed up, because I was just talking on, sorry to plug Something Rotten, my other podcast. Don't tell my boss Kyle that I have another show where I make money. But please go listen so I make more money. We were just talking about how Hellblade does, like, a lot of games outside of like shot composition don't actually like borrow much from film. They'll like have like, the standard like rule of thirds, but beyond that they don't do much. And Hellblade actually like will like imitate like a film grain or like lens flare or like dirty lenses, and I was like, that's so cool. That adds such an interesting cinematic quality to it. Anyway, we also talked about the Order 1886, which has the black bars, and I was like, more games should do that. It makes them look so good. And like, personally, this game isn't my thing, but I thought it looked so cool just because it had freaking black bars across the screen. I was like, that is such a smart choice to make like a game built around historically a film franchise feel more cinematic. Like, I loved that. I was so into it.
Do you think? Do you think they just did that for the gameplay? Like,
I hope not. Because
me too. I liked it. Yeah.
When the Order did it, which I think is also a game that imitates like film grain and pulls from like the language of cinema in other ways. Like, I love the black bars across that whole game. I'm sure it's a nightmare to implement, like everything is in video games, which is why we don't see it often. But like, I really hope that's a choice in this game that they make, because I think it's bold, and I think it honestly just like makes playing a video game look that much more cinematic. Like, it's just a small touch, but it's why every movie for the last freaking 80 years has done it,
Yeah.
So
no,
I love it.
It's cool. I agree with you.
Yeah. By the way, if I don't think I said if Star Wars Outlaw is the Ubisoft game that they've been working on. This is the Division team working on this. Yeah. Which they are busy because they have that other thing. Are they doing Avatar too?
Yeah.
Yeah, James Cameron said they were a studio known for making worlds that are alive, and I was like, famously, they made a dead world.
Yeah, they
what
killed
are you
New York
talking about?
And Washington,
yeah,
D.C.
Like, they are most famous for their sparse dead worlds, Mr. Cameron. Jimmy?
He missed those. He was too busy diving down the Mariana Trench in his little submarine when that happened. He
Look, objectively, the coolest thing that dude ever did. was go find the Titanic. Shit's so
yeah, I'm
sick.
legitimately jealous that he got to do that.
it's so
I
sick.
would love to do that, as terrifying as it would be. Also, weird side note, I found out in this whole thing that he goes by Jim Cameron because he called himself Jim Cameron, and that made me snap my neck of like, wait, did he mispronounce his like? Like I've never in my life have ever heard him referred to.
Marcus was like,
as
hold on,
Jim
I gotta write this
Cameron.
up. I gotta write this up real quick.
I do like the idea. It was like,
A new
it was like a
story.
deep fake. It was like, hey, I'm James Cameron. This is my real name, face and voice.
Hey,
Well,
James-
it's like when people who have worked with Robert De Niro talk about him in interviews, they refer to him as Bob. And I'm
Yeah.
like, get out of here with that. That's not who that guy is. Come on.
I know him better. Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like a flex of like, I know him as Bob, I know him as Jim.
Bob De
Jimmy,
Niro.
Jimmy, Mr. Beast Cameron.
God. Blake, do you want to talk about Yakuza now?
Yeah, they showed Ichiban.
The other one?
They showed Ichiban naked. What more could you need?
They did.
Next
We saw
person.
we saw his butt.
Next person. That's all I had to say. No, I'm
Ichiban.
stoked about this. Despite what I said earlier about like not being as into the combat of the turn-based games, I do think like a Dragon is definitely the second best game RGG has ever made, behind Yakuza 0, one of the greatest games of all time. So I'm stoked for another one. I think I think the story of Yakuza 7 was so good and so mature
Yeah.
for a video game, just in like it's the way it tackled like homelessness and sex work and just like the tried and true drama and soap opera-ness of RGG games that like I can't wait to hang out with those characters again. Nothing really more to say about it. The name is stupid. I don't understand why they changed the name of their series to the West. I mean, in the West, I understand it was to fit the Japanese name, and they're kind of getting away from Yakuza to a degree, but it's just making the names really bad. Like a Dragon.
Are you just talking about Like a Dragon, not the infinite wealth part of it?
No, I'm talking about all of it. Just call it Yakuza
Okay.
8. What are you doing? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
at this
the
point,
infinite
but-
wealth, I don't hate that. I think it's kind of intriguing, and it's also that weird thing that Japanese games like to do where it's like the infinity symbol. It's that number 8 sideways,
Yeah.
right? It's like a play on sort of the numbers and the words. But yeah, Yakuza 8 would be a heck of a lot cleaner.
Yeah, and it's like
to be fair, at the end of Yakuza 7, I ran a little side business so well that I basically had infinite wealth.
yeah,
so
that's true.
I think they identified with my save file personally.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just hyped for it. I
Yeah,
love
it
those.
looks cool.
Yeah.
I love
That's
those
funny.
games so much, man. And I'm sure I'll
Yeah.
have to review this and the man who erased his name. So thank God they look good, because I don't want to play some bad games.
Yeah, it's wild how quickly Ichiban has been in one game, but he's already in that rare echelon
No.
of like video game
No,
characters.
no, no,
where
no, no,
as
no,
soon
no, 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 no.
Wait, what?
No. Fake fan.
even know what
Fake
I'm
fan
saying.
alert. Fake fan alert. He has been in 2 games. Thank you very much.
Wait, well, I mean, Ishin doesn't count.
No. He was.
You talking about Ishin?
He was introduced in the Asia-only Yakuza Gacha game. That was where the character was first introduced. If you're a
What
real
a
fan,
twist.
if you're a
Oh,
real
man.
fan like me, you remember seeing the Yakuza 7 reveal trailer and being like, "Oh my God, there's that guy from the Gacha game." I'm a real fan, dude.
That's the
You know,
whole
John
time I
Gotcha.
was like, did he have a cameo in 6? I never
Nope.
heard anything
No.
about that.
No, he was introduced in I don't know the name of the game, but it's the mobile gacha game that like can't come over here because of the like gambling. I don't know. It's
How do
it's
you
just-
know about this, Blake? If it's
I'm-
Asia only.
I'm a huge fan of RGG's games.
Yeah,
dude.
it's like, I mean,
Like-
the internet exists, but,
like,
but-
people always like to come at me and say I'm a fake fan, but you just heard me drop that knowledge on you.
now people come at me and say I'm a fake fan. I
Yeah.
guess, but
Sorry, dude. That game.
basically, what I was trying to say is that Ichiban, in I guess one game that I've played, the one that everyone's played, he has gotten to the point where he is in that rare standing of video game characters where the moment I see him, I just get very happy because
Yeah.
I like him so much. Like, as soon as you're like, hey, that's my man right there. What's he up to this time? What kind of trouble? He's got no clothes on. Oh, what kind of trouble have you gotten into this
He's in
time, buddy?
Hawaii, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that game. I loved Like a Dragon. So, Charles,
Yes. I thought your sentence was gonna be longer than that. Are we talking about the Sony show at all, or are we just doing the?
Oh, no,
past
yeah.
one?
you can because you weren't here for the. I don't
just-
think we talked about that. At
I guess
all,
it's
actually.
it was kind of in Summer Game Fest too. Spider-Man 2, October 20th. I love those games so much. That's probably my most excited thing ever. I can't
Ever.
express. Okay, maybe not ever,
I
but
was going to say, you put Beastie Ball above it.
well, I didn't know.
We're not
it was
ranking
gonna
these.
count.
I know. I'm just kidding.
I played the Beastie Ball demo like right before we did this, so I was.
You
very
weren't at
fresh on
work? You weren't doing your work?
It is work actually.
Yeah, it counts.
Because it was research for this. And it was
Yeah,
only half
when I play Max Payne 2 for 4 hours on a Tuesday, it's also work. Yeah.
Like you were too busy looking up Yakuza Gotcha Machine.
Yeah, go back to your
Sorry.
side podcast,
Yakuza
Blake.
Gotcha.
Yeah, something raw, nebula.tv/something raw, and you sign up, get early and ad-free episodes.
Anyways, Spider-Man 2. I'm very excited. I think I've mentioned it on here before that my Spider-Man game growing up was Spider-Man Web of Shadows.
Yes, sir.
It's not very good. As I get older, the more I'm like, man, this game was really bad, but I love playing it so much. I played it on the Wii where they were like every attack has to be a motion control.
Oh my god, you played the Wii version?
Oh yeah, dude.
Jeez, I'm so sorry.
And to web strike, you have to take the Wii remote and put it sideways, which seems like it should be so easy. I'm pretty sure on other consoles it's always just like the triangle button or the Y button on Xbox. I spent like an hour, 2 hours practicing the web strike in the tutorial because my brother and I couldn't get it. Anyways, Spider-Man with the black suit was immediately, I was like, dude, this is going to be so much better than Web of Shadows. I'm so excited.
What a high bar.
I have a question, Charles.
Yeah.
Because I'm also big excited for this game. I loved Miles Morales. How are we feeling about Yuri Lowenthal's gravelly voice, though?
Oh, I mean...
Because it sounds terrible. People are lying to themselves. And I'm sorry to dog on him, but I'm genuinely worried about how grating that's going to get over 20 hours.
You didn't like when Miles was like, they got big teeth, and he was like, so am I.
It would have been
That
way
was so
better.
funny.
It would have been way better if he was like, so am I.
Yeah.
Instead,
It's just in his normal voice.
I
No.
don't like that Christian Bale-ification of voices.
Ooh,
I
I don't
don't-
know if it's that
I
bad. I don't
don't
know if it's
disagree
that
with
bad.
you.
Yeah.
It was a thing. I remember seeing an interview about the first game, or Marvel Spider-Man 2018,
Yeah.
where the director was saying when he was recording, in his head he was like, the secret to playing Spider-Man is that Spider-Man and Peter Parker are two different characters. But he didn't tell Yuri that was his like perception of it, or that Peter sees him as a character, I guess, and that he kind of naturally has like a Spider-Man voice and a Peter Parker voice.
Right.
This one does feel like a lot more of like a choice, and it does remind me of like I don't know if it was like an 80s cartoon or 90s cartoon. There's a Spider-Man where he has like a black suit arc and he's like just so mean. I don't know how to do.
You're
black
making me
suit
feel very
Spider-Man.
old right now that you got the decades confused because I know what you're talking about.
It's the
You're like,
same
it
to me.
wasn't that old.
What's the difference?
I was gonna say that if anyone that is old like me that has watched the Fox Kids '90s cartoon during the Black Suit Saga, like if you think this Yuri Lowenthal take is bad, like go watch the symbiote suit storyline with like the scene where he's chasing Shocker up the bell tower and he's like screaming like Shocker, like his the performer does not like the Peter Parker actor just goes for it, and it is so over the top and unintentionally hilarious. It's become a meme now on YouTube where he's like, "Get back here, Shocker!" You're like, oh my god! So like, I'll take Yuri Lowenthal's over that at least.
You know what I only realized the other day is the actor who plays Miles Morales, who I think is like super good, is the actor when he was like way younger who played Sam in The Last of Us.
Yeah, I saw
I
him
didn't
at
realize
MegaCon,
that until
actually
recently.
recently.
Yeah, because then the circular sort of nature of it is the actor who plays Sam in the Last of Us TV show was talking about how much they love Miles Morales. So it's like, oh, what a
that's
weird
cool.
loop
That's
that is.
cool.
I got distracted by pulling up Spider-Man Web of Shadows gameplay and remembering like I played and beat this game, man. I forgot about this game.
Did you like
I
it?
think I did at the time. I mean, it was like a solid open world Spider-Man game, right? Because 2 was great, 3 was middling, Ultimate was pretty good, and then I liked Web of Shadows, and then it all went kind of downhill until Insomniac took back over.
I thought the
feel like.
Beanox ones were good.
The-
The first Beanox
Was that one
ones.
open world?
No, it's more linear, but it was the ones Shattered Dimensions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that one was pretty solid.
Let's
Spider-Man-
play Web of Shadows on replay, Marcus. That's fair.
There's no way you all have not
There's other
already done
Spider-Man
that.
games we could play.
Web of Shadows.
I would drop everything to sit in on a playthrough of
We've
You and me,
Shadows.
Charles.
we've
We're gonna play
already
Web of
done
Shadows.
we did a replay in 2018 of it. Kyle, you were on
Devastating.
it.
Wait,
Devastating.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know. If
it
that's
would
true.
not surprise me. No.
My Spider-Man game was Spider-Man 2. Oh God, we didn't do video for replay back then. Oh wait, yeah we did. Kyle, you were not on it. It was
Okay.
Surreal, Reiner, and Ben Reeves.
I don't know why I
Mine
wasn't.
was Spider-Man 2, which had the Distillers, one of my favorite bands, covering the Spider-Man theme song, and you could find their logo in New York. It was
the
so
video game?
sick. Yeah, dude.
I don't remember. I
So
love
sick.
Spider-Man 2.
That game ruled.
Love that game. Absolutely
Yeah.
love that game.
You deliver the
Yeah.
pizzas and that just freaking Italian
I don't remember
stereotype
the
song.
Distillers being in there though. That's wild. I would have been like all about
Yeah,
that.
dude.
I must have missed that somehow. Or just maybe I
Dude,
forgot
yeah.
over the years.
Shouts out to
I know the
Brody
last-
Dahl, friend of the show.
And the last thing I'll say about
I
Spider-Man
like Blake's
is that-
strategy here, real quick. I just want to call it. I think it's very smart, and I'm going to steal it. It's just refer to people as friend of the show
Yeah.
in hopes that it's like, yeah, let's come on to the show.
Hell yeah.
That's how
Brody
it
Yeah, who's
Dahl
famous though?
Brody Dahl wants to come on the show. It'll be the first episode I host.
Yeah, they're a friend of the
show.
show, Blake. They've already been
Friend
on,
of the show,
presumably,
friend of the
right?
show. Come on, Brody.
Yeah, I would love friend of the show Toby Maguire to swing on it.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
an
get
actual
the other
Spider-Man
one.
in
Let's
here.
get the modern one, the Thomas.
Oh, wow, way to just just crap all over.
We
Toby
could,
Maguire.
like,
My
Did you call
perception
him
of
the
Tobey Maguire
Thomas?
is he's not the nicest person to meet in person.
Have you met him?
Internet rumor.
Wait,
I don't have any
did-
hands-on experience.
But did he have the black suit? Because that
Oh,
would probably
that's
be why
true.
he was
Oh,
so
yeah. Was he...
Yeah.
What, realistically, we could probably get, like, Yuri Lowenthal or the Miles Morales actor, whose name I don't
Yeah, I
actually
chatted-
know.
I saw the Miles
Najee
Morales
Jeter, I
actor
believe is his name.
at
Okay.
a convention.
I chatted
recently.
with Yuri for the Spider-Man cover story for a while, and I had the revelation. Oh, I didn't have the revelation, but he was like, "Yeah, I played the Prince in Sands of Time," and I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
my
I thought you
god,
meant...
yeah, I
thought
love
you
that
meant
game."
the... Thought you meant
I don't
the
know if you
singer.
saw he and Laura Bailey hosted the Future Game Show, and Laura Bailey plays Mary Jane in those
Oh,
Insomniac
yeah.
games. So, and the entire like hour and a half show, they just kept making Spider-Man jokes, even though Spider-Man was not a part of that
Hey, why
showcase
not?
at all. But they just kept making references and puns to it, and I thought it was cute.
Yeah, his
Kyle, what's your next game?
his name is Najee Jeter.
Oh, what?
by
Oh,
the way.
yeah,
You
we
were
talked
right,
about it a little
Charles.
bit last time, but I just want to shout it out again because I know Alex played it, and it made talking to him a little bit about it, like over Slack and stuff, makes me even more excited about it. Is Prince of Persia,
Yes,
The
sir.
Lost Throne?
Yeah.
That game was the big surprise for me from Summer Game Fest. I was like, oh, what a great way to kick off this show! This looks amazing. And then everything else I've seen about it has been great. That Ubisoft
Yep.
showed more. They had some
Yep.
gameplay, and then like I said, Alex I know played it for like 20 minutes in Los Angeles, and he took some gameplay footage which we have on the site now. And I'm like, man, I just didn't think this would be like one of the things I'm most excited about after the show is like a return to 2D Prince of Persia. But hell
Yep.
yeah, bring it on.
I believe Van Aken said it was his favorite game of the show.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so stoked. This game looks awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Also, shout out to all the dummies that are upset with that game because they're like, this isn't like the classic games, and they're like, the original Prince of Persia was a 2D side scroller.
Yeah, are they talking about Sands of Time?
Yeah, I think it's more of an age thing or
Yeah.
just a lack of research. I've been like, this isn't like the old school classic first Prince of Persia games ever made.
Well, I saw-
Sands of Time
It
trilogy.
was very funny, and it made me laugh. Jordan Mechner, the original creator of Prince of Persia, who, as far as I know, isn't involved in this game at all, but seems to have a nice relationship with Ubisoft, and likes to see where Prince of Persia is going. And he posted something along the lines of like, "Hey, for everyone complaining about the look of the new Prince, I've put together a style sheet to dictate how the Prince should look." And all he did is he took screenshots of every iteration of the Prince that has ever existed and put it into one big one big upload. And it was like every single one of those Princes look completely different. Like it could look however you want it to look. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a prince is a prince. I mean, there's already been different versions of the prince. Anyway.
Yeah,
It's
like
eh.
dozens.
I like people. The best sort of comparison I've seen for him is people that keep saying he looks like Killmonger from Black Panther.
Yeah.
It's like Michael B. Jordan's character. I can get down
Yeah,
with that.
he does. He
That's
does kind of have that energy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a prince, and he's like, "Hey, is this your king?"
Yeah, but let's see. Yeah, Jordan McNamara is sharing all the trailers, so he's on board. I don't know if he's involved in the development, but he's certainly happy to see it existing.
Hell yeah.
For sure. Alrighty, we'll do one more round. My last game, I'm going to go way, way, way left field with this. A little smaller indie thing. I think I might be the only one that watched the Devolver Direct. I don't know if you guys checked it out. But, I mean, it was 85% unhinged jokes and about 15% games. And by that I mean there was like 4 games.
Yep.
And the only one that was like brand new that looked super cool was the game called Baby Steps.
Oh,
and it is a collaboration with Bennett Foddy of Getting Over It fame and the makers of Ape Out, which is another game that I really loved.
Which Bennett
when that
Foddy
came
also
out.
worked on.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're all together. And it's a game where you play as like this mid-30s like lazy guy who lives with his parents and apparently has like not left his house in some time. Like he just chills on his couch in his little bedroom. Like the trailer shows his parents arguing about like, are we coddling him too much? Our 30-plus-year-old son that does nothing? And then he just gets inexplicably sucked into his TV. And, like, he's wearing, like, a full-on, like, one-piece, like, onesie pajamas. And the idea is, like, oh, now he has to explore the world for the first time. And it is billed as being a literal walking simulator where you are kind of, like, almost Quap style. Like, each of his legs you're controlling independently.
Yeah.
And it's like a real physics-based thing where you're just trying to walk and guide him up like mountains and all these wild different terrains, and is just supposed to tell the story of this guy that's has to like stand on his own 2 feet for the first time and see the world. But the trailer was really funny, and like the premise sounds great. Again, Ape Out, especially Getting Over It, was so goofy, and also just the sort of philosophical commentary around it I thought was entertaining. So this was the one thing at the Devolver thing where I was like, oh, I that looks cool. I want to play that.
Yep.
So yeah, I want to shout that out. That looks like it's going to be a pretty funny little thing.
Tell it.
Oh, Blake, you can.
All right. Well, look, folks. Alan Wake 2. Can't wait for it. That trailer was really boring. But I want to talk about a game that wasn't at the show. I was hoping would be there because it is unironically one of my most anticipated games of the next year. That's right.
Do we know what it is?
I don't know. What do you think it is, Charles?
Is it Slitterhead?
It's not Slitterhead.
Okay.
It's Infinite Nikki. Have y'all seen this game?
I have seen Infinite
Oh
Nikki.
my god, I
Is
can't
this
wait.
Princess game?
Dude, so it's the next in the Love Nikki Dress Up Darling games. Not Dress Up Darling.
You know the ones.
I got that conflated with My Dress Up Darling, which is a manga. No, it's the next in the Love Nikki series, which I think were like mobile dress up games. But they have blown it out because those games make more money than God could even count. So they have been able to blow this thing out to like a full open world 3D adventure. And it looks so sick. Sometimes I just watch the trailers in my downtime just to like feel happy. And I feel like the more I'm gotten kind of like jaded by like honestly just like games that all kind of look and feel the same. Like it's like a new Assassin's Creed is just old Assassin's Creed, or it's BioShock but a little different, or you know, like I just like I'm getting a little jaded by this stuff. That something like Infinite Nikki, where it's like, bro, we're just here having fun, and it's colorful, and you're just gonna be this little princess who you can dress in cool dresses and run around a fairy world. I'm like, that's all I need at this point. So I was really hoping, because it feels like it has a huge marketing push behind it in Asia. They put out this like wild Illumination level like short film on PlayStation's YouTube channel a few months ago. So I'm like, I keep waiting for it to show up at a big event and be like, this is the one, boys. This is it. And I'm here for it.
Infinite Nikki.
Infinite Nikki.
I
Look
believe
this
it's
game up.
Infinity Nikki, right?
Oh, Infinity Nikki. My
Okay,
bad.
I just wanted to double check because I pulled up a trailer because I was like, I don't know if I've been aware of this, but I don't know if I've sat down and watched a trailer. And I was like, I am watching the right one, right? And it's called Infinity Nikki. Okay.
Sorry, I'm a
Was that
fake
a
fan.
missed opportunity to just call it Infinity?
Oh, that would have been good.
Infinity Nikki? I don't know.
It's one of those games like Doke V, where it's like it looks like the most expensive game ever made. And if it's
does.
good, it might be the best game of all time. But I
It's
have
like,
doubts.
I don't-
But I can't.
It's like, I don't know if this game is ever going to be real.
Yeah.
One of those, yeah.
I can't freaking wait, y'all. Look up, what is it? Nikki and the God of...
Dreams. Nikki
God
and
of Dreams is the like short movie they put out recently on PlayStation's channel. Crazy. It's got 1.6 million views on the PlayStation Japan channel, which
It's a lot of views.
these games are unbelievably big. I've never played it. I've never played a Nikki game before. Like,
Is it like a Hatsune Miku situation? Is it like she's just like a popular character that people project on and like?
probably.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really know.
I mean,
much
you're the
about her.
expert on
I'm
the
Does she have
panel.
like a,
I just am so excited about this game.
can you date her yet? Does she have like an
I'm
AI
not interested
dating
in that. I'm not
algorithm
into
where
that.
you can just go on dates with her?
No, I'm not interested in perv stuff. Okay?
You don't have to be a perv to go on a date. You can have a totally
you gotta,
non...
you kind of, well, you kind of have to be
Nikki
a
and I
perv.
are just talking about the weather.
You kind of have to be a perv to go on a date. That's just how that works.
We don't make the rules.
Anyway, I'm excited about this game. Let me be stoked about this. It looks like Breath of the Wild, but good.
No, okay, let's...
I don't know. I don't have anything. I don't have anything smart to say about it. That was a joke, by the way. Breath of the Wild is literally like the best game ever made.
It's like the Elden Ring of dress-up games, you guys.
Oh,
I don't have anything smart to say about it. It just like the trailer brings me a lot of joy, and I'm a pretty dour dude,
It's
and I
just
keep
charming the hell out of you.
yeah, and like I just want this game to come out, which I have my doubts it'll ever come out. But like I'm so stoked for it. Like I watched the trailer
Yeah.
a lot. A lot.
I'm with you. I've seen the trailer, Blake, a while ago, and I was like, okay, like I
Yeah,
want to see
dude,
more
it's
from this.
so sick. It is such a good trailer. And you know it doesn't have? Slow electronic versions of 90s alternative songs. It's just like a whimsical little fairy tale song. Like,
Well, wait till it gets closer to release.
Yeah,
They really
yeah.
ramp up the marketing cycle.
yeah,
you
and
know,
they're going to
don't-
have some dollar store version like heart-shaped box played at halftime.
It's going to be the somber version of like Miss Jackson from Outkast or something.
Maybe a bubbly
That'd be
version
cool.
of Heart Shaped Box. Maybe that's what it is. Like a upbeat, you know, like
I don't need
You
any
don't want
of
that?
that. I don't want Nirvana
a happy
normally.
version of Something in the Way.
I don't want Nirvana normally, and I super don't want Nirvana covers in video game trailers.
Oh, it's too late for that.
I know, unfortunately. But yeah, Infinite Nikki, shouts out. Everyone go look this game up, then tweet at Matt Miller. No, he doesn't have a Twitter. Email our
also,
editor-in-chief.
it's not like Matt's ever been like, we're not covering it.
Yeah, but if I was like, Matt, we need to put Infinite Nikki on the cover of Game Informer, he would fire me yesterday. But if we get enough listeners emailing Matt Miller, our emails are easily accessible on our
Figure
website.
them out. They're not tricky.
Email
That's
Matt
what
Miller and say, fly Blake to China to talk to Paper Games about Infinite Nikki. We can start a movement, people. Vote with your dollar.
Infinity Nikki. I feel like that's.
It doesn't matter what it's called. I just want
I
to
don't know why I'm so tickled by the idea of like a personality trait of Matt Miller being staunchly anti-Infinity Nikki.
He's staunchly okay. I'll call out Matt Miller right
He
now.
just-
I'll call out Matt Miller right now.
He just like has a personal, just like absolutely not.
Matt Miller, he doesn't listen to this show. Matt Miller's never listened to this show, so I can say whatever I want to hear. He is anti-Slitterhead. This is a fact. This is a true fact. Slitterhead is such an easy cover choice because it's like, one, people are stoked about that game. Two, it's from the creators of Silent Hill, so people just like Silent Hill's so in vogue right now. We put it on the cover. Bokeh would probably say yes tomorrow if we were like, hey, we want to do a cover story. And they give us tons of access. Every time I tell Matt, he's like, funny joke, idiot. Like, are you out of your mind?
Verbatim.
dude?
That's what he says.
Like, we could do that cover
word has never even left
tomorrow.
Matt's lips.
I was gonna say.
We could do that cover tomorrow, and it would be a better choice than most other games on our cover. But what do I know?
It'll be the double feature of Slitterhead and Infinity.
Dude.
The front cover is Slitterhead. The
If you're
back
listening,
cover-
if you're listening to this show and you care about art and culture, email Matt Miller and say, "Hey, y'all gotta cover Slitterhead and Infinity Nikki. Y'all gotta get on this." Anyway, I can't.
Make it happen.
Anyway,
Everyone.
I unironically cannot wait for that game. I'm so stoked. I hope Brian Shea puts me on the review. I guess I could just tell him to put me on the review.
You're acting
Well, Charles.
like all your bosses are like hold these like iron fists of like it's like dude, yeah, we'll cover
I'm
Infinity
just-
Nikki. Tell Brian you want to review something, he'll be happy
Hey,
to hear it.
here's the thing. As you know, I just think it's good to hold bosses accountable. I'm seizing the means
Fair,
of production.
fair.
And Kyle,
I like-
you just wait. I'm coming for you next.
Oh, I know. I listen to the podcast though, so you better look out.
I do like
Charles,
the
you
idea.
you have to follow Infinity Nikki, by the way. I'm just,
I was gonna say I like the idea of
warning.
someone else getting assigned either of these games you've been extremely vocal about. Or like 3 weeks later, it's like, yeah, so Charles has the Infinity Nikki code. He's gonna be reviewing that for us, and just how it should be.
Charles, you better watch your mouth. In 2 days, I'm gonna be 45 minutes from you in Louisville. So
That's true.
Don't-
Actually, it's
don't-
probably I'm a little more north than that, but you know.
you're a little more
Anyways.
north. So that would actually be closer because
I'm like-
Cincinnati's
I think in
south
general because
of
he's taller than
Louisville.
you too.
The
so.
message here is Charles, watch your back.
What's your
Right.
address? I'm gonna look up how far you'll be from
One
me.
sec, let me dox myself.
No, just DM it to me.
Okay. I mean, I'll give you. Well, never mind. My game, I don't feel as passionate about as Infinity Nikki because I don't think that's possible.
Sorry, I'm a gamer. I don't know what to tell you.
Cocoon looked pretty cool. That was also a Day of the Devs game. It's like a funky puzzle game where it's like worlds within worlds, and you're a little bug, and you're in an orb, and you can jump out of that world. It's hard to explain unless you've like seen the trailer. But you jump out of the orb, and then that world is an orb you can pick up and like bring around and use it to solve puzzles. And I don't know, like I didn't play it, so I don't know how deep the worlds within worlds go. But they jumped out more times than I thought you'd be able to jump out of whatever world. So, it's just cool.
It's kind of like if you gamify the end of Men in Black with the marbles a little bit. That's what I keep thinking of when I see that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And it's got former Playdead designer, I think, right? Which is very exciting. That's cool.
yes.
Yeah, so an alien invasion is somewhere in this game.
Yeah,
You might-
everyone
you might
who
be
leaves
the
Playdead
aliens.
to make a game does an alien invasion game. Yeah.
Anyways, that's cool. It looks
Yeah,
cool.
it does look cool.
That's the end of it. I'm not gonna. You don't have to email Matt Miller if you care about it.
Email Matt Miller about Infinity Nikki. If Matt Miller gets one email about that, it will be the funniest thing of the year. It would be so
We're gonna hear
funny.
in a stand-up a few days. Like I've just been getting all these Infinity Nikki emails, and I don't know why.
One time I was streaming for us, and I wanted to know if my friend Jason wanted to see a movie, so I told the viewers to tweet at him and ask if he wanted to see the Mario movie with me, and they did. That was a really funny moment for me. Him being like, "Why are people tweeting at me about you?"
About the
With,
Mario
like-
movie.
So email Matt Miller. Make your voices heard, folks.
Good. Kyle, can you bring us home? Can you wrap up this truly
Oh.
unhinged segment?
Gosh. I thought I was done. I thought I didn't have to offer up anymore. I'll throw a shout out to.
You only said 2.
Was it? Okay, I lost count. We got so distracted by Infinity Nikki and all her amazing outfits. I want to shout out this game which was during Day of the Devs. Hellskate. Blake, have you seen this at all?
Oh, I just saw this morning on
Yeah.
MinMax. MinMax was talking about it.
Yeah,
It's
I
got one of
DM'd
the,
you about it the second they announced it, Blake, but you were in Japan, so you probably missed it. But
Oh, yeah. Well, there's an ocean between us. It got lost somewhere
it
along
makes
the way.
Slack messages go slow. But it's like it's Tony Hawk inspired to the point where like it has former Tony Hawk designers are working on it, specifically designers who worked on Tony Hawk's Underground.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's like you're
Best game
kind
ever
of
made.
it's not I guess it's like a demon world. It's not specifically hell, but it's like you're skateboarding through a demonic world. But then you also have like melee attacks and stuff. So it's like Tony Hawk gameplay in a demonscape with like melee combat, which is like
Yep.
that's a weird Venn diagram that I'm very interested in getting my hands on, and I like the way it looks too. Hellskate, it's called, which is a good name. That's a really good name. HELSKATE.
What a coincidence that and what's the other one? Skate Story, which is also supposed
Oh
to be
my
about
God,
like
dude.
skating in hell. It's coming out.
The new
If-
Alien
dude,
Invasion game.
I want to do a big thing on Skate Story so bad. I want to go fly out and talk to that dude. But
That game looks cool.
yeah, Sam Ing, if you're listening, bang my line, dude. I want to talk to you.
I hope they come out at the same time and we can do the battle of like Skate Story versus Hellskate. Which,
Infamous and
They
prototype all
don't got
over
a battle. They don't got a battle. They can live harmoniously. Come on.
no, that's how this works. God, I'm calling you every other name.
Unfortunately,
Jesus
unfortunately, that is how this works often. We have to make them
one has to
fight.
be better than the other one, and
know.
then the one that is secondary is automatically a bad game and can't just be
Yeah.
slightly less good. It has to just be bad.
That's how art criticism goes. That's how it's always
right.
been.
It's like how in the Olympics, it's like, oh, if you're not the gold medalist, you're trash, even
Yeah.
though you're the second fastest person on planet Earth. It's like not good enough. Alrighty. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do some housekeeping. And you guys want to answer a few emails about Summer Game Fest and all that fun stuff?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a rhetorical question. You had no choice. We'll be right back.
Shoot.
And we're back, everyone, and this is the housekeeping section of the show where we got to do, pay the bills, do some chores, all that good stuff, pick up some paper that's on the ground, all other metaphors for cleaning. First and foremost, you can help us clean up our act by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It was a great little joke there, Blake. And you can tell me how great it was by going in there and, leaving a review. 5 stars would be great. 4 stars would be good. 3 stars would be okay.
No.
2 stars would be bad. 1 star would be heartbreaking. But you know what? We want you to be honest. And if you're really honest, you might read it your review on this show. We have in the past. I haven't, because that's just my mandate as host. But we will eventually. And yeah, we appreciate your support, as always. Be sure to check us out on our social channels like twitch.tv/GameInformer, where we do weekly streams, including our current Super Replay of Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts that myself and Kyle Hilliard are doing every Friday. Also, check us out on GameInformer.com. Check out our latest cover story on Final Fantasy 16. You can play that game now, by the way. Demo's out. I haven't tried it yet, but I plan to. And also, you can purchase single issues of Game Informer now for $5.99 at Game Informer or GameStop.com front page. Hey, if you don't have a subscription to Game Informer magazine, but you still want to support the magazine and check out the hottest exclusive stories in gaming, go there. Pick up a Final Fantasy issue. We've also got the Dead Island issue, Resident Evil 4, Diablo 4. Some people like to get them just to hang them on their walls because we always have cool cover art. Look at the beautiful Diablo 4 cover that Charles is holding up right now if you're watching the video version. Look at, see, we got some excellent.
I gotta spin that around real quick. Bro,
Well, we have
I just mentioned that. That's so funny.
I bought this.
Well, you can't buy the prototype issue because that one's like over a decade
No, you
old,
can.
But it was a nice
You
cover.
can get it for
Can you?
$2 at Half Price Books.
There you go. But yes, single issues, $5.99. Buy them at GameStop.com. They're great. Check us out on social media. I am at Marcus Stewart 7 on Twitter. You can find Kyle at Kyle M. Hilliard. Charles is at Chuck Duck 365. And Blake is at Metallica is Rad.
I changed mine.
Did you really?
Yeah, I'm at Radmere now. RADMURE.
Okay, well, there you go. Go there instead. Check out Game Informer on TikTok as well as our other podcasts, All Things Nintendo, starring Brian Shea. And, of course, a super special shout-out to the amazing editor of this podcast, Matt Storm, a.k.a. DJ Stormageddon. Check out their podcast, Fun and Games, as well as Reignite, which is their BioWare podcast. And we've got some listener emails this week, all courtesy of our Game Informer Discord, which you can join if you subscribe to our Twitch channel. And yeah, they're all about Summer Games Fest, guys. And this first one is from Troidal Power asking, which release dates do you already not trust? Star Wars Outlaws looks fantastic, but I don't expect to play it until 2025. For reference, that game is supposed to be coming out next year. But yeah, is there any dates that you saw that you were just like,
all of them?
That's not happening.
All of them. Starfield.
Man, I've been beating that Starfield drum for a while. I'm like, it's not coming out this year.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. September is such a weird. Right, it is September, isn't it? I think.
September 6th.
Yeah, it makes me kind of feel like maybe it is going to be out this year, but I will be surprised
better
either
be.
way. It's like, if it like doesn't make it, I'm like, yeah, that, or rather, I won't be surprised if that's
Right.
what I meant to say. Yeah.
Marcus, why'd
Yeah,
you say it better be? Why you threatened
I
them?
mean, no, I'm all for delaying games. Don't release your game till it's
Don't
ready. I
release your
only say
game.
that.
Just don't release it.
I only say that because they're in their big like marketing. Like we just showed this thing for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like rah rah, here we go. September 6th. We swear to God, September 6th. So it'd be.
Yeah.
I don't know if embarrassing is the word, but it's kind of like, oh, after all that,
Yeah,
it got
but,
delayed
like-
I mean,
again.
they're manufacturing
you're like-
watches, like,
Yeah, but,
I
like-
mean,
Yeah, but like, remember when Skull and Bones put their game on a video game magazine cover, and they're like, "We're definitely coming
yeah,
out."
that's a
Like,
good point.
people lie,
I mean, yes, things change. I get it. I'm just saying, like, after all this, it feels like Starfield is ready. More so than if it just was like 2023. I don't know.
I mean,
It's like, okay, you guys.
I think that game's coming out, and then it'll be ready 6 months after it comes out.
yeah,
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's
It's gonna happen.
I mean, that's just Bethesda, no matter what. You
Yeah.
know, that's just.
But
that's what you sign up for.
I feel like they were pretty good about either having a specific date or saying 2024 for a lot of things.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then there was like Pragmata, which was like crossed out 2023 even and put a question mark. So like they didn't put anything. They didn't even put 2024 on that
So
one.
messed up, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Star Wars. I might kind of be on that train a little bit of like, yeah, I don't know if I'm totally sold in 2024, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I
So,
feel
yeah.
like for me it's a thing, and this isn't like a perfect indicator, but like if it feels like it's gameplay, then it feels comfortable. I think something about the Star Wars one, it was such like a scripted kind of demo area that makes it feel kind of sketchy. The one I was gonna say is I don't know about Avowed. It said 2024. I feel like it was a very brief glimpse at the game.
Yeah.
Not that I need it in 2024 also. I feel like they would, if they had more of the game ready to show, they would have shown it, and I don't think it's ready yet, and that's fine. But there definitely is like some pressure on Xbox right now to be like, do you have games? Do you have games coming out? You better.
I like
Is that
your
what the
internet
voice
voice.
That's what I saw during the Xbox extended showcase in the chat. Someone was like, "Oh, so these guys are just talking about Xbox games. They're probably paid by Xbox." Like, yeah, that's how a company works.
You sound like the unfortunate smoker from like every anti-smoking commercial.
Oh my gosh! Don't vape, kids.
Who showed
It's
up in
not
Tokyo?
worth
Who showed up in Assassin's Creed Mirage and Star Wars? By the way, there were two very gravelly voiced women in both of those Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Tatooine's
Yep,
not the same as it used to be.
Oh my god. Speaking of Microsoft, Jadonkadoc in the Discord asks, do you think Microsoft can generate enough momentum off their strong conference to change the landscape, or are they still in the doghouse after Redfall?
I think Redfall.
Starfield's
did-
gonna push it one way or the other. You know what I mean? If Starfield
Oh yeah.
is like, I mean, I think we're gonna be fine with a little bit of jank with Starfield. We're not gonna like, throw our hands in the air and call it a disaster if there's a few issues. But like, if it's like Redfall level, like that they're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, it can't be.
Yeah.
It already couldn't be, but after Redfall, like that game, like it has to be. It has to be good. It just has to be. That's their big tentpole thing for the fall, right?
Yeah.
Like it's Forza, but that's not as big.
I agree. I think Redfall. I'm speaking as someone who makes $54,000 a year. I don't work for $1 billion arm of $1 trillion company, so what do I know? I do think Redfall in the long run probably didn't mean too much for them because it's a niche studio to begin with that's never sold very well. Now that said, I agree if Starfield was a repeat of those issues, that would be a whole other issue for them that I think would have some pretty big consequences on Microsoft. Though I think Redfall, like outside of publicly being like, oh, our bad, probably didn't hurt their bottom line too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, there's bottom line, and then there's like player perception, right? Like,
yeah, but like I often wonder about this. It's like we are in the chamber where we hear all that, and it's like most people probably were like, it kind of sucks. but like we're just like forced to be around that conversation, the people who care the most, or most people probably downloaded it off Game Pass and we're like, never heard of this. Oh, it sucks. Oh, well,
it didn't make them unsubscribe. Right.
Yeah. I think I'm in the Phil Spencer like camp of like realism, where he was saying like, even if Starfield's an 11 out of 10, it's not like people are going to be throwing away their PS5s and a wave of Xbox purchases come in. Like, I agree with that. We're like, and I think I agree with it even the other way with Redfall. Like, I don't think a wave of people went and traded in their Xbox after Redfall was bad. It was kind of just like I'm angry and maybe I'll say something mean on Twitter, but I'm also going to fire up Game Pass right after this and keep playing and play something else, So like it sucks, and it's like a black eye, but I don't think it like shattered them. And I think this like, because they did have a pretty good show. It's probably better than Sony's, honestly.
I think so. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it's going to move the needle that much either way. I think people are kind of entrenched in the platforms that they have. You know what I mean, at this point. So yeah, I think they're fine, basically, ultimately. Legend of Gamer asks, anyone else disappointed that we can't be surprised anymore? Maybe I'm just showing my age, coming from a time when reveals were monthly at best with magazines, but with so many leaks out there and how fast news spread, it's kind of frustrating that we know most everything that's going to be announced before it's announced. Maybe I should just stay off the internet during E3 season? Is this an old man yells at cloud moment? This is unique for us because in our position, we kind of just by default of our jobs, we find out things sometimes well in advance.
Yeah. I mean, this is also like runs into the issue of like, where is it okay for press to leak something versus not okay, And it's like, as a press member, my standing, and sorry to any developers who might listen to this, I just think it's not my job to care about your marketing calendar. And so like when something's leaked, I'm not like, oh, I wish I would have gotten the big reveal on that. It's like, okay, that's just a new thing on my calendar as a professional. That's also like, as someone who's like, it's like
the leak is as surprising as the announcement, right? Like that's
like I don't think it's my job to protect like the marketing beat on something, be like, like it shouldn't have been, whoever shouldn't have written about this because it was going to be revealed 3 months later. I think that's just not the role of a press member. That's the role of a PR person. But like, I don't know, like there's the fun of the pageantry about it, like I remember like, even though Resident Evil 4 was already leaked, I did enjoy the surprise of actually seeing that reveal. But it's like, I don't feel like I like need this like change in the sea to be like, stop leaking everything ahead of time. It's like, we know Marvel's entire slate of movies 10 years before they come out because Marvel announces them. I think like I don't really need to buy in much more to like the marketing hype of it. It's just like a game will come out when it comes out and it'll be good or bad, and how I figure out about it means little to me,
Yeah, I mean, leaks aren't even a guarantee that will happen. Like, things get leaked that don't happen, or it doesn't happen when it's supposedly going to happen.
I know, it's weird. I'll get excited about the confirmation, like even it was like, I don't know if you can even define it as a leak, but Persona 3 Remake, which was accidentally posted on Atlas's Instagram account, like someone internally at Instagram pressed a button, or at Atlas pressed a button early, but it was still fun for me in a weird way to see it on the Xbox showcase, because it was like, all right, this is definitely a thing now. They didn't cancel it between the leak and the sort of announcement.
I guess it's weird. It's like, what are you most excited about? The name of something or actually seeing it? Because it's when something's leaked, it's often like, when it's leaked through like a press outlet, often like you're just reading descriptions of what the game might be and not seeing it. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not that excited about a name. I'm more excited. Like when I saw the Persona 3 trailer, I was like, oh, now I'm seeing it. I knew it was happening, but this looks rad,
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It depends. There is definitely fun to be had. Like I think back, kind of a weird one that I think back recently is like when they revealed God of War 2018, which didn't leak. There was something super fun about like knowing that we were all collectively watching something live, and it was exciting to all at once all of us be like, oh my god, that's Kratos, So there's fun in that, but it doesn't. I mean, as far as the question from the reader, maybe, I don't know, maybe you go into blackout mode beforehand, just to if you really like that sort of being part, like seeing the announcement in real time, like, yeah, you just got to try to avoid everything up until then, I guess, is the best way to approach it. I don't know.
Yeah. Some of that has to be on you. 'Cause one of my pet peeves these days is sort of the overuse of the word spoiler.
Sure. Yeah.
And people really like not understanding what a spoiler is anymore, where it's become, hey, this was like a legit, like this is the end of the movie or a plot twist and we just put it out there.
Yeah.
It's a spoiler. And it's like, no, a spoiler is like, I personally was not aware of this information, so it's a spoiler even if it's publicly available and it is meant for everyone to see, but because you didn't want to see it, it's a spoiler. Like whoever put it up did something wrong to you.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is the public trailer. Like this information, like they put it in a press release. They're like, hey, did you know that this is what this story is? And you're like, why did you tell me that? And it's like, because it's fair game. They want people to know.
There are people that like before a new Pokemon game comes out, they'll get mad if you mention or show a Pokemon that has been announced by Pokemon officially in a trailer. Be like, oh my gosh, I wanted to discover Bellibolt organically for myself. I'm so mad I know he exists. Whereas like, yeah, there's a line.
It's like, if you know that's going to happen, especially if it's a pattern, like the Pokemon Company, for example, always does that, then yeah, like Kyle said, you need to just go blackout.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't look at anything.
I think this
and you'll be
this is
fine.
like a wider conversation, but I think in general the secretiveness around the game industry is like actively harmful to the game industry. And
I agree.
like
It's
and like the fact that the audience is so trained on that to the point where they like don't want to know a game until like the marketing beat is ready for it is like indicative of just like how the game industry has also like tried to keep what development actually is so secret, so that the audience now has like incorrect views on how games get made, and then they all now like voice that publicly on Twitter or use it in harassment campaigns. Like we see that with like Pokemon, where it's like you could just Control-C, Control-V the whole game or whatever, like dumb shit like that. That
more
like
complicated than that.
Right. It's so I feel like game announcements are on their surface a more benign example of that, but also like indicative of just like this historical trend of like the game industry not wanting fans and players to actually know how games are made. And I think that's like a big problem. And I think that's something like as a press member, we should actively combat, because it's like when you create an industry so built on secrets, then you inherently create an audience that doesn't understand the reality of games and the labor requirements. And I know I'm making a bit of a jump here, but I just think in general, like the press should combat against that. Having just did my first cover story and seeing the links to which like PR people would be like, you can't talk about this. I'd be like, dude, you don't want me to talk about what color the carpet is on this floor. It's stupid. Like we don't have to be like this, So I think in general, the press and really the consumer should push back against that. And it's been better more recently with like,
yeah, it's a cause and effect thing.
Yeah.
So I get why people get mad when they see something early and then they think that's the final game and they lob all these unfair accusations at the developer of like, oh, this is like trash. How could you do this? Like, it's not done.
And it's because
things change,
the game
man.
industry has created that audience, I think, to a large degree, because they've historically haven't been open about what games look like in development, which is like, I think it's really cool that EA did all that stuff around the Dead Space remake and Skate 4 about like, hey, this is what the game looks like. It might look really bad to you, but this is how games get made. I think that was really cool. And, obviously the Double Fine stuff, and Sony's done it to a degree, but like the Raising Kratos and Last of Us documentaries were a little more puffy. But I think the more publishers push into that and do more of that, like Bokeh is doing it right now, which is really cool. Like the more your audience will understand the reality of making games and will be more accepting of like how things gotta be in games, or how games get to where they are in their release states. Food for thought.
Yeah.
Sure. And a good way to end this podcast. Thank you for listening, everyone. Alex will be back next week, so my reign of terror is over. The substitute teacher has to take his leave. No more watching movies. You guys got to get back to work doing whatever your assignment was. No more pizza and ice cream here.
I gotta go eat lunch.
Yeah, let's all go eat lunch, guys.
So hungry.
Let's do that.
So hungry.
Yeah. And, you go eat lunch too, listener. And come back next Thursday with another episode of the Game Informer Show. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Email Matt Miller. Say Infinity Nikki on the cover.
You don't have to email Matt Miller.
Email Matt Miller.